everyone, John here from Gaming in the Wild, and I've got a new video for you today about Beast of Reincarnation. It's an open world-ish action-adventure that came out recently. It met with a pretty mixed response from both critics and players, but I've played it through to credits, which I don't always do actually, and I really enjoyed it, so I thought I would share my thoughts about it with all of you in the form of this review. I think this game deserves more praise for the many things that it does well, including the fluid traversal, the intricate level design, and the crunching combat, and I was also really taken by its overall melancholic vibe and an interesting story that kind of got under my skin actually. So settle in for a bit of Beast of Reincarnation chat, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. You can sub to the channel for more from me in your feed, and there is also the Patreon if you would like to support this channel and get bonus stuff as well. In addition to Discord access and behind the scenes material, I'm also offering hand-picked indie game codes to welcome new patrons. The current selection includes Tales of Iron 2, a gorgeous 2D Souls-like that recently got a DLC expansion, Despelote, the heartfelt childhood simulator that explains what World Cup fervor feels like for the uninitiated, Time Flies, a short existential game about trying to live your best life in the time that you have, and many more. So head over to patreon.com/gaminginthewild, join up at one of the free game tiers, and I will be in touch personally to say thank you and get your code sent over to you. There's a link in the description if you'd like to check it out, and with that, let's get on with the video. So Beast of Reincarnation is an ambitious AAA open-world RPG from Game Freak, the makers of Pokemon. It was pushed pretty hard ahead of release with various showcase appearances, trailers, gameplay videos and that kind of thing, and it looked very promising if you're a fan of third-person AAA action-adventure games. But it received a bit of a mixed response when it came out. It's sitting on a mixed or average Metacritic 73, which is a pretty low score for a AAA game on this scale. That score puts the game in the same kind of rocky critical territory as games like Days Gone, which scored a lowly 71 and then couldn't get greenlit for a sequel by Sony. That's despite selling 7 million copies, by the way. And it's just above the 69 scored by Gotham Knights, a high-budget flop that most of us have forgotten about already, I think. But I don't think that 73 tells the whole story. And as Metacritic says, it's a mixed or average score. If a game gets a lot of 65s and 75s and lands somewhere in the middle, that's kind of an average, but sometimes they really are mixed, and Beast of Reincarnation has scored everything from a 4 out of 10 from NME to a 9.5 out of 10 from Vice, and that means something else. It means the critics are completely divided about whether the game is good or not, so that 73 doesn't represent a consensus, it actually represents a diversity of opinion. Some people think it's excellent, like Brent from Vice magazine, who called it Game Freak's masterpiece and a cult classic in the making, and some really do think it sucks, like Ali Shuttler from the NME, who called it awkward and uninspired with a predictable backstory and needlessly knotted lore. So it's a divisive game. Think of it like blue cheese or Marmite or pineapple on pizza. That is distinctive, memorable, not for everyone, and a bit weird maybe, but definitely not average and not forgettable either. So Beast of Reincarnation is a third-person action-adventure set in a series of large open-world levels with secrets, mazes, and fairly breezy dungeons as well. Exploring is a lot of fun in this game thanks to an incredibly fun and fluid movement system, including the ability to create branch bridges out of thin air, to grapple on top of huge trees and buildings, and one of the coolest double jumps you'll ever experience when Emma's vine-like hair pushes you high in the air within a second. And that movement system is tied into both exploration and combat, so you can acrobatically explore the intricate vertical levels and areas, finding secrets in places that it feels like you shouldn't be. You can then fall back down to ground level to assassinate an enemy, and then shoot back up onto the rooftops like a kind of ninja Spider-Man. And the combat really is great too, and it's not all about stealth. It's crunchy, it's tense, it's stylish, and it includes parrying with an excellent intuitive window, and then counters, ranged attacks, specials, and more. All of the moves chain together and complement each other really nicely. Sometimes you can drop into a mob of enemies, assassinate the biggest threat for half of his health bar. While he's down, you can take out an archer with your crossbow, quickly slice two minions apart, and then duel the wounded leader to the death. All of this plays out in seconds, and it's very satisfying every time. The game somehow manages to make almost any bout of combat feel punchy and cinematic, like kick-ass moments from samurai movies that just come on a really regular cadence. There are also formidable elite enemies dotting the landscape, guarding valuable power-ups and treasures, and they can quickly end you if you let your guard down for even a moment. These encounters are always nailed nail-biting duels that got my pulse racing, and even as you crest the power curve, they will always keep you on your toes. There are boss fights too. They are fearsome, they are deadly, they are Colossus-sized with complex movesets, and they'll put everything that you've learned to the test. The skill tree is also huge and opens up a really impressive range of abilities, from plants that grow around you as you sneak to help with stealth. You can power up your wolf companion so that it launches enemies up into the air for you to juggle, then you can plunge back down and strike the ground to create an area of effect attack, and then shoot back up into the air to shoot homing, heat-seeking projectiles that swarm around enemies like fireflies. So it's really dynamic and complementary, and it's really fun to power up, which incentivizes taking down any and all enemies for the XP. And like we see in a lot of Capcom games, I always think that complementary systems that encourage you to explore all of your options and to engage fully with the game is a sign of really well thought out design. It even made me think of one of my favorite games, Control, where you start off fairly underpowered but feel like an X-Men by the end of it, so it has a very satisfying curve as you power up your moveset and push your character as far as you can. So it's slippery and high speed, and whilst it might not be challenging to grizzled FromSoft veterans, if you're a mere mortal who likes to dabble in Souls-adjacent combat, there is something here for you for sure. I also really enjoyed the game's story and scenario. Our protagonist in this game is Emma, a warrior who can't feel emotions for undisclosed reasons. She's haunted by a holographic being called Violet, like a pretend best friend who nobody else can see, and she's followed around by a tame white wolf called Ku, who becomes her companion throughout the game. It's set in a far future Japan in the year 4026, where humanity has been through a devastating cataclysm. A blight has fallen over the land, creating monsters called malefacts, twisted versions of wildlife that can devastate entire settlements, producing a thick fog that blocks out the sun when they are near. What's left of humanity lives in dour, primitive colonies ruled over by golems, that is, ancient robots of unclear origin. And this centuries-long struggle has left humanity, quote, without hope, unquote. So the game has a sense of pervasive melancholy to it in the same way as something like Nier Automata, and the story begins when Emma is summoned to the capital to dispatch the Beast of Reincarnation. This is the biggest and most powerful malefact with the power to wipe out everything that's left. And so you set off on a journey in a walking home called the Cleanse Walker with a pilot, an orphan, and the wolf Ku. This will take you through a wasteland, through a forest, through a mountainous region where now and again the path is blocked. That's when you will jump out and explore. You can power up, you can take down enemies, you can find a way to open up the malefact's den to clear the clouds and then go on your way. If you mainline it, each area can be over quite quickly, but seeing as I was having such a good time playing this game, I decided to take it slow and squeeze the juice out of each area as much as I could. And I'm glad that I did, because there are some significantly sized missable areas. There are optional mini-bosses, there are bounties that you'll hear about through rumors and merchants selling rare gear, so taking your time and making the most of it really pays off. The game has Souls-style campfires where you can power up, change gear, rest, refill your health and stim packs at the price of respawning enemies, and as I was playing through this game I was always about to stop, but then I had a lot of just one more campfire moments that lasted several hours and late into the night. You can also fast travel back to the Cleanse Walker from a campfire, talk to your companions, empty your inventory, and then reappear quickly at the last campfire you visited. And that's part of the easygoing approach to quality of life stuff in Beast of Reincarnation. There are no corpse runs for once, which enables you to push forward without worrying too much. If you die, you just spawn back at the last campfire and go again. And I really like the Cleanse Walker as a base, where you can come back and check in with your companions, you can grow stuff, you can look after your chickens, you can take a shower and clean the wolf, which I think broke up the rhythm of the game without ever feeling like it was interrupting you. And there are a bunch of other nice quality of life decisions here too. There's no fall damage, there's no encumbrance, you can respec easily, you can fast travel back to old areas for cleanup, there is no resource loss upon death and it loads quickly when you do die. You can click through each line of dialogue individually if you want to speed up the pacing of the voice acting. The game is very generous with map pins for your objectives, it marks chests and elites automatically when you discover them, and it just takes care of the small stuff for you. And that might sound like a lot of small obvious things, but they do add up, and a lot of games get them wrong. I think a lot of good decisions were made here, and I appreciated all of them. But it isn't isn't a game that is without downsides, of course. I mean, you can get hung up on scenery. Emma will sometimes float on the geometry, although she does respawn quickly when that happens. And there is a general feeling of jank to the game. It feels like it's held together with tape a little bit. The map is great for open areas, but pretty bad for mazy dungeons when things get a little bit layered and confusing. And it has a really almost comedic approach to tutorials, which appear hours after you've discovered the abilities in question. But when I think about games like Nier Automata, I think they are also pretty eccentric and rough around the edges, but it gives them a feeling of personality and you end up almost rooting for the game. I've played much more polished games this year that I enjoyed a lot less, like the slick but soulless Saros and the competent but uninspired 007 First Light. Both of those games scored Metacritic 89s, and no shade if you enjoyed them, but I barely remember them already, whereas Beast of Reincarnation is sticking in my memory in a really different way. It brings to mind what Hideo Kojima said during the development of Death Stranding 2, that the playtesters were responding too well and enjoying the game a little bit too much. So the playtesting feedback was so positive that he felt like he had to change something and rough up the game somehow. We all pondered what he could possibly mean at the time because it was such a strange thing to say. Surely good feedback is a good thing. But he did expand on the point, saying that some games feel pre-digested and leave no impression. And I think he's onto something here. He said, quote, "If everyone likes your work, it means it's conventional. It means it's pre-digested for people to like it." He said, "I don't want that. I want people to end up liking things they didn't when they first encountered it, and that's where you end up really loving something," end quote. So maybe it's those eccentricities and that little bit of jank that actually makes a game likable, rather than a decent burger that goes down a little bit too easily and is instantly forgotten. It's the stinky blue cheese, it's the pineapple on the pizza, and it's the Marmite that creates a divided reaction. So that's my review of Beast of Reincarnation. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video. Please check out the Patreon if you'd like to support me in doing what I do. I work really hard to make the Patreon good value and a place worth being, with the Discord community, with the free game codes, with the behind the scenes material, with off-topic podcasts where I talk about books I've been enjoying, magazines, travel, film, music, all kinds of different things. There are tiers for all kinds of people. There is a $1 tier if you just want to throw me a tip. That will get you into the Discord, and then $3 and above will get you a free game code. And I want to say thank you to my newest Patreon members, Zach, Michael, Clint, Jeff, Martin, Athelston, and Kid Chemical. To my recently upgrading members, that's always a good feeling when someone upgrades because it's like a vote of confidence. So thanks to Ryan, Francisca, and Ulane. And there is a boss tier and a benefactor tier as well, which will get you a shout out on every single video. So extra special thanks to King Champ, Susanna Maria, Drellish, Reistic Studies, Nate, Noah, Jeremy 1, Jeremy 2, Andrew, Glenn, and Tom. Welcome, Tom. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you on the next one.